Hi, I'm Mike Hudson. I'm the director of the Museum of the American Printing House for the Blind. This is another in our series of museum how-tos to care for your treasures at home. Now, you might have a large textile, a quilt, a blanket, even a banner, like this 1916 track meet banner from the Kentucky School for the Blind. Now, a lot of people don't have space in their house to store them flat. That would be ideal. We're going to show you how to safely care for them, make them take up a lot less space, and protect them. So the first step, we want to avoid having to handle this thing any more than possible. So once we get it rolled, we don't want to have to unroll it to check it again. So first thing we're going to do is document, right? We're going to take our camera, we're going to take a bunch of pictures from a bunch of different angles. We've got our pad of paper. We take down some notes about this thing, maybe write down any family history that we have about it, any markings. Sometimes a quilt might have it might be signed. We're going to write all that down, make sure we measure everything really good with our tape, get all that written down so we've got all of our record keeping done before we even start touching the thing. Okay, let's talk a little bit about materials. In general, anything that touches directly onto the artifact needs to be archival, meaning that it's a material that doesn't decay over time and itself is not going to damage anything. So we're going to need a tube. We have gone to an archival supply company and bought ourselves a stack of big long tubes. We're going to cut this to length. But you may not either be able to afford or have access to archival tubes, so you could also use just a standard shipping tube. But if we use the non-archival shipping tube, we're going to have to protect our rolled artifact from it. We're going to want to buffer it. We're going to roll it inside of acid-free tissue so that our actual tube is protected from our artifact. We also are going to need some Tyvek. This is what we're going to actually wrap the outside of the rolled textile with once we're done. You'll see what I mean when we get to it. Tyvek is this really great artificial fiber that both breathes and is somewhat water resistant, but you could also use unbleached muslin, which is available from any fabric store. Then we're also going to need a little twill tape. That's what we're going to tie everything up with. You'll see what I mean in a minute. Okay, now we've got a little cutting to do. We're going to measure our banner. It's about 35 inches wide. So we're going to want to cut our tube about 4 inches larger, so about 39 inches. And then we're going to want a piece of tissue also that's about 39 inches wide. Let's do some cutting. So now I'm going to actually touch the artifact. So I'm in a museum, so I'm going to wear gloves. People in museums wear nitrile or cloth gloves to protect things from finger oils. But I'll give you a secret at home. If you just wash your hands several times during the project, it'll be just about as good. Now the key to rolling a rolled textile is getting it started safely. On a tablecloth or sometimes on an old-fashioned crazy quilt, or in this case on this banner, we've got this fringe, right? And we want it to stay nice and straight in storage. So what we're going to do is we're going to fold the banner back. I'm going to bring our tissue. Remember, we cut it to the width that we wanted it. Lay it out. Again, this is acid-free tissue, not wrapping tissue that you might use at home for like at Christmas. And then we're going to comb our fringe out, and you can see that it's very brittle. And we want it to be all combed out and smooth. And then we're going to fold our tissue back over it. And what that's going to do is that's going to hold our fringe nice and flat while we begin our roll. So we're going to lay our tube down, make sure that it's extend a couple inches on each side. We're going to get our finger underneath that tissue, and what's going to happen is that the surface tension of that tissue is just going to pull that right up, and you can't see it through the tissue, but our fringe is nice and flat. And then we're just going to take our time, slowly rolling and smoothing as we go so that we don't get any bulges or any wrinkles. Now, sometimes on some of these large textiles, you have areas of insecurity, meaning weaknesses in the way the thing is put together. In this case, we have this nice brass chain, which is what the thing was hung from on the wall. We want to pad that because we don't want our chain to end up being a problem down the road. So we're just putting a little acid-free tissue around that chain to hold it in place. And that way we can then continue our roll so that we're finished rolling. And our chain is padded somewhat from our textile. Our next step is going to be to actually wrap the entire thing with our Tyvek. Now we need to cut our Tyvek. Remember I said you can use unwashed muslin if you have it. And we're going to need about 6 inches longer. And you'll understand why here in a second. So 35 and 8 is about 43. Now we're going to lift our textile up. We're going to put it onto our Tyvek. Notice that we've got a lot leaning over the edge. That'll make sense in just a second. Just going to gently roll that. We don't want it too tight. We don't want to cramp it. But now our hanging stick and our chain are going to be held nicely in place. Then I'm going to tuck my Tyvek into the edges of the tube. And we leave that extra so that it's got enough tension that it holds it in place. Now we're going to cut ourselves some ties. We're going to use this twill tape, which we have buckets of. You're going to definitely want 2 on the edges, not on the textile itself, but on the tube. And we're just going to tie that in a nice bow. And another one. And one in the middle, nice and loose, but it's going to keep that hanging rod and chain nice and safe and secure. Now we're ready for our last step. Here in the museum, we're going to take a tag, write the accession number on the artifact. That way we'll know what it is without having to open it up. At home, if you have more than one of them, it'll help you tell them apart. But another thing might happen is that you're not going to be around forever. Someone's going to come along after you and they're going to wonder, what is that tube up in Aunt Jane's house? And so if you can put enough family information on the tag about what's inside, that's going to help everybody down the road to continue to pass your treasures down from one generation to the next. Good luck.